Our first panel will be made up of Congressman Nick Rahall, who has been a member of the United States Congress of Representatives representing West Virginia's 3rd Congressional District since 1977. He is currently the chairman of the House Resources Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Certainly appreciate your leadership in having this hearing today, as well as that of the ranking member, Mr. McEwen, and want to thank you for allowing me to testify as well. I think it should be noted that there are members of victims' families from the Sago mine with us today. We certainly commend Deborah Hamner and Sarah Bailey for their courageous leadership, and every time there's a hearing or an event here in our nation's capital, they're here to ensure that the loss of their loved ones was not in vain, and I salute their courage and tenacity. We are here in large part because of the sacrifices and losses of the coal miners in my district and across West Virginia and across our nation. We're also here because of an unfortunate lack of oversight for too many years by the Congress, the People's Branch, the miners' branch, if you will, of our federal government. The 1969 and 77 Acts provided the Secretary of Labor with vast authorities to protect the health and safety of our miners, including those we will be talking about today. Excuse me. But somewhere along the way, probably as it lumbered along under the control of too many managers who were beholden to the industry, the agency lost sight of its priorities. This committee, under your leadership, Chairman Miller, is helping to ensure that the Mine Safety and Health Administration remembers who its constituency really is. And I commend you, Mr. Chairman, and members of this committee for doing just that. In recent weeks, we have seen the release of 3 weighty reports that resulted from MSHA's investigations into the disasters at Sago, Alma, and Darby of last year. Each of these reports contains insight into how enforcement of the law proved inadequate and how an MSHA truly devoted to seeking better safety technology could have saved lives. Mr. Chairman, I'm proud to be able to say that my home state of West Virginia has been a real leader in pushing for advances in the coal fields. The state of West Virginia is taking steps that will save lives and prevent harm to the health of those men and women who toil in an inherently dangerous industry that is critically important to America's economic prosperity and our national security. It has moved ahead rapidly to approve more modern communications equipment in emergency shelters. MSHA could benefit from an injection of the sense of urgency that has taken hold in my state. Unfortunately, MSHA has not committed itself to any timeline that would mandate the use of refuge chambers, which we did visit this morning together. And it refuses to reconsider its rules, even temporarily, governing the use of belt air ventilation, which is the subject of legislation that I've introduced, H.R. 576, that is pending before this committee. When it comes to introducing new technologies, coal miners will undoubtedly benefit from a deliberative, well-researched process. But it would be shameful if that process were used as an excuse for further delay and inaction. I said well before its passage that the Miner Act was a good, solid start, and I commend this committee, and I commend the administration for signing the bill into law. It set deadlines and improvements in emergency breathing and communications, lifelines, SEALs, and rescue teams. But as I said then and will say again today, it is only the beginning. With the new funding that the Congress has provided to NIOSH to expedite improvements in safety technology, and I emphasize this point, Mr. Chairman, federal research can produce emergency breathing and communications equipment and refuge chambers that go beyond anything that is being required in West Virginia today. But the new technologies approved in my state are an advanced generation that we all hope will spawn even greater advances in the years ahead. We should all view mine safety as an ever-changing, always improving progression. So while my state is pressing operators to invest millions to deploy specified technologies, it is also asking for assurances from MSHA that those investments are not being made in vain. We are anxious for MSHA to eventually catch up. We are as well hoping for cooperation so that when MSHA does catch up with its own regulations and technology approvals, good actors, such as we have in West Virginia, will not be penalized for acting sooner rather than later. Mr. Chairman, our responsibility today is oversight. The Congress must continue to demand an MSHA that does its job and that does it aggressively. And when the cameras are turned off and the media attention goes elsewhere, the Congress must continue to demand that MSHA do its job. Neither MSHA nor the state of West Virginia nor us, those of us in Congress concerned with miners' health and safety, can ever rest considering the job done, because the job will never be done. 1/3 of coal mines still do not have at least 2 SCSRs, self-rescuers, for every miner underground. Truly wireless communications and tracking is still not available. Emergency response plans are still not fully approved by MSHA. Evacuation drills and training remain inadequate. Pre-shift examinations are too often incomplete, and there are still too few mine rescue teams. What is MSHA doing to correct these deficiencies, and when will coal miners begin to see the differences underground? These are the questions that merit answers, and I'm sure the committee will explore today, and I thank you again, Mr. Chairman, for affording me this courtesy to appear before you. I commend you and members of this committee for your dedication to coal miners' health and safety, and I look forward to finding the answers to the questions and continuing to work together for the benefit of our miners and their families.